So on this day, I decided to clean out our balcony. We don't use the balcony just for sitting out. We use it to harden off plants, and I grow some plants on the balcony like tomatoes, usually micro dwarf tomatoes. But it's quite a mess after last year. I haven't really gotten around to cleaning it at all, so I've just left everything as it is. So please join me as I tackle this project. So I'm starting out by emptying all of these seed starting containers and throwing them in this trash bag. All of these seed starting containers need to be washed as well. This shelf that I'm cleaning out is usually where I harden off my plants. It's kind of a shady area, but it gets maybe like 3, 4, 5 hours of sunlight, so it's great for hardening off. But I've also been using it to grow plants. So in this container, I had basil growing last year. It didn't really do well. I think it didn't get enough sun, and then the basil was planted really tight. There was like 10 or 15 plants in this one container, so that's probably why. And then I'm gathering all the plastic here, trying to sort out what needs to be cleaned and what needs to go in the trash. We also tried to store our apples on the balcony this year for the first time, and it worked out really well. The apples have been out here all winter, and even though we don't get the coldest winters, it's been like minus 8 degrees Celsius for several days in a row, and they've done just fine. Only a few that I've had to throw away that started getting soft. And I don't know if that's from the cold or if they were just damaged since before. And now it's back to this side of the balcony. So the containers that I will be moving soon, these ones, are the ones that I have my saffron crocuses in. They didn't actually come up this year, so I need to empty this container to see what's going on. Are there any bulbs that are still viable, or do they all need to be thrown out? This gardening space that I have, it's so limited, so this is like precious to me, so I don't want to have them there if they're not growing or not going to produce anything. And then I moved on to these larger containers where I had my micro dwarf tomatoes, and I planted these out quite late, so they didn't actually produce at all. I got maybe 2 or 3 tomatoes off of them, but they were growing on nicely, like the foliage was nice. And I was emptying out all of the soil. Here's a tomato that I forgot. But I realized that this soil was basically not used. So instead of throwing it out, I started saving it. And I think I'm going to use it to grow things in these containers this year. So I'll fertilize it and try to give it new life. But I just felt like this soil that I didn't even get a harvest from could come to second use. So that's why I'm putting the soil in this container and then throwing out the foliage in the trash bag. And then the next step I'm gonna do is to empty out this habanero plant. This habanero plant produced like crazy. I didn't think it would do that well on this balcony. This is a west-facing balcony, so it doesn't get a lot of sun hours. And then we have another apartment building in front of the balcony that shades out the sun. So, I mean, maybe 6 to 8 hours. In here, when I was throwing it out, I realized that it had actually overwintered. It was alive when I broke it. So that was too bad. I should have saved it, but I didn't ever think that a habanero plant would overwinter here in Sweden. So So that's really good to know. And I also have grown eggplant on this balcony before. Only one, but it's the only one I've ever been able to harvest of eggplant. So it's also good to know that this balcony seems to be a good growing space and protected even for very heat loving and plants that need a lot of sun. Have done well here. And then I'm just cleaning the floor and rearranging everything again so that I know what I need to bring inside and clean and what is going to stay out here. And it's starting to look really good out here on the balcony. I'm pleased with the progress. There's still a lot of stuff, but I feel like it's ready for the season. So thank you for joining me on this day where we got a lot accomplished and are ready for the new growing season.